Welcome back, and let's now get our teeth into today's business. We're starting with the agenda for the new cabinet, and of course, no marks for remembering that on Wednesday, the Senate screened a number of nominees presented by the president,
Tuesday.
and Tuesday and Wednesday, and 18 of them were confirmed to join President Muhammad Buhari's government. There were 21 submitted. Some have been screened, and the screening will continue on Tuesday.
That's the 21 is the first list.
Yes.
Then we had another 15 or 16 on the second list. Yes.
So to help us look at the screening and to try and set an agenda for the new cabinet, it's my pleasure to welcome a Labour leader, Mr. Joe Ajero.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. We also have Mr. Shupo Ojo, a legal practitioner.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you.
Mr. Omale, also a legal practitioner.
It's my pleasure to be here.
And all the three gentlemen are with us in our Lagos studios. And from Abuja, we have a community activist, Hajia Miriam Yakubu. Good morning, Hajia. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes. Now, let me start with Mr. Ojo, since I have not had the pleasure of having him on Sunrise for a long time. So, to welcome him back to Sunrise, let me begin with him. How would you describe the screening process?
Well,
to some, it was a lot of drama, it was a lot of fun. But in the end, there was general consensus that the president had some good caliber people.
yes, I think it is really gratifying to see the enthusiasm, to see the excitement and the interest generated by the screening exercise, even though the Constitution says confirmation. That's the word the section used. There's nothing like screening in the Constitution.
The president sends the list and you just stamp it.
It's confirmation. That's what the Constitution expects. And that's why even if they reject the president will still resend the same person. They have to confirm because that's what the law says. But all the same, in a democratic setting, I think it's also good for transparency, at least to give the representatives of the people opportunity to ask questions that are very germane, that will also give a sense of belonging to the people who voted them into power, at least to perform that function, oversight function. It's part of the oversight function. Even though they are yet to be confirmed, to be given portfolios, but already the Senate has performed this function as imposed on them by law. And I think it's also good because by the time they get into office, they will also know that it is not just appointment by the president, but also confirmation by the people of Nigeria through their representative in the Senate. So they will have this sense of responsibility that they are not for themselves. They are for the people.
Okay.
And I think that was the thing. And the caliber of people that came in, of course, it's a mix. It's a mix. And ordinarily, of course, if I'm on the saddle, I would have done it differently. Because Nigeria, we've really had it so much about recycling and putting people in certain age grade there, and also reducing those older, as if people in their 30s and 40s have no idea. You know, it's very problematic for Nigeria. It's one of the reasons why we are still tagging along, why we are so slow in moving, because those in office, they cannot multitask. Like some of our youths today, they can perform wonders, but only when you put them in position of responsibility. But they will say they have no experience. I will say, who has experience? When they first appointed some of them in their 30s and 20s.
When Gowon became head of state, he was 33.
He was never local council chairman before he became head of state. So that was the only minus. I mean, to me, that's the only minus in the list. But we have tested and tested people. I think the expectation is very high, and I pray they don't fail.
Okay, we are going to be setting the expectations. And Comrade Ajeru, for you, he said it's about the age. Why do you have to gather people that are advanced in age, when we have vibrant youths. What did you see at the screening?
Well, I think I agree with him in terms of the age disparity. But if you look at the age of even President Muhammad Buhari when he first came, or when he was appointed governor, or even Minister of Petroleum, you know why he's saying this. You know, and that, I think that's the best age for you to render service to your country. But if there is need to mix it up, which is very important, you know, which starts the process of mentorship, you know, I think he should have looked towards that direction. However, if you look at the dysfunctional political and educational system in the country, you will see where the link seems to be coming. The youths then were the people that fought the colonial government. You know, the Azikiwes, the Balewas, the Awolowo. If you check their age, they didn't wait for the old men to combat the colonial government. And when it paid, they benefited from it. If you check the people that fought the military before the democratization process of 1999, most of them were relatively young, you know, and some of us were involved. We paid for it in and out of detention. But when it was time for election, you know, there was a problem, you know, and I want to tell you this, you know, that was the vacuum. And then, and the second point is the economic class that has just emerged now, you know, who equally controls politics. And that economic class is mixed up with the military class. You know, as of today, even we are talking of the certain agenda, President Muhammad Buhari cannot take control if the same people who are controlling the banks, the oil companies, are controlling the power sector. He will only answer names. You know, so that class, I repeat, if they want to shut down this country tomorrow, they will shut down this country. So, and by the very moment you say market forces determines everything, and you hand over, the people will determine who will be president, who will be governor, who will be senator, and it continues that way. Any attempt to resist that, they will equally fight. So, if he wants to take control, I think he should do certain things to take control. You can't handle the politics without the economy.
Okay. Mr. Male, isn't there something to be said for the president actually selecting those he believes share his vision and those with whom he can work?
Oh, yes, I very well agree with you. And I would want to also put this in perspective. The leadership, governance in world over, and more particularly in a traditional evolving community and society, it's about the personality and the personification of the point man. In the case of Nigeria, that of President Muhammadu Buhari. The point man sets its own leadership agenda and source for people of like mind to drive this initiative, because we are of the background and society that success and failure of every leadership or every era is tied to certain individual. And again, that strengthened the resolve that over the while, Buhari found himself around in Nigerian politics, and I've had some close allies and associates. And now that he had another opportunity to manage Nigeria, it's very apparent that he will look inward and draw from those whom he had shared some experience together in the past to help him manage Nigeria. From the list President Buhari sent to the National Assembly for confirmation, up to 60% of those persons have worked closely related with the person of Buhari, either when he was the head of state, when he was the Minister of Petroleum, and when he started his political journey in this new dispensation. We can say 30–40% of them are those who, while he was contesting the presidency of Nigeria under the CPC platform, were governorship candidates of the CPC. We have on board the National Legal Advisor of CPC. We have on board our own Chief Audu Ogbe, very close ally of General Muhammad Buhari, and the like.
President,
President,
not General.
sorry, I'm so sorry about that. President Buhari, you know, that being the case, it's not any different from what we see even at the states and at the local government level, that every leadership will want to draw from his allies in the constitution or composition of a cabinet that will help him succeed or fail.